This really is like a big family, isn't it? We woke up, we were together. We end the day, sort of, some of us, we are together again.
Totally true.
We are always up to good things. Okay. There we go. And I think it's right on time, right?
Right. On the
Right on
second.
time. Ha! Okay, well, did you start the stream?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everyone. It's lovely to see all of you today. My encouragement today for you is wholeheartedly chant, wholeheartedly bow, wholeheartedly participate. It's 30 minutes. Okay, if everyone's ready, we're going to begin as usual with the incense offering. So if you can do full prostrations, please do that. Otherwise, full bows are totally fine, or whatever your body allows. Okay? So this is our February Fusatsu ceremony, the recommitment to the precepts. So we're here to atone for past misdeeds, to listen to the precepts wholeheartedly, repeat them together, commit to them, recommit to them, or just ponder whether we would like to formally take them, if any of you hasn't done that already. So I'm going to begin with the usual words. The great precepts of Gautama Buddha were kept by all Buddhas. They were transmitted from Buddha to Buddha, and they were received by ancestor after ancestor. Our great master, Gautama Buddha, transmitted the precepts to Master Mahakashyapa. Master Mahakashyapa transmitted the precepts to Master Ananda. And the transmission of the precepts has continued in this way passing from orthodox successor to orthodox successor in one line. Now we reaffirm our commitment to the precepts, to return the profound benevolence of Gautama Buddha. We trust this to be the true reception of Gautama Buddha's wisdom and life. Respectfully following the approval of Gautama Buddha, we would like to devote ourselves to the precepts, beginning with atoning for past misdeeds.
All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all.
For this part where we invoke the presence of Buddha's past, you can do a deep bow with every bell hit. If your body allows, you can do a full prostration if you're brave enough. It's a few of them.
Homage to the 7 Buddhas of the past. Homage to Shakyamuni Buddha, a person of this earth. Homage to Miroku Buddha, symbol of hope for the future. Homage to Monju Bodhisattva, symbol of great wisdom. Homage to Fugen Bodhisattva, symbol of great activity. Homage to Kanzeon Bodhisattva, symbol of great compassion. Homage to the successive generations of ancestor Bodhisattvas.
Now that we've atoned for our past misdeeds, and we've invoked the presence of all the Buddhas, it's time to purify ourselves ahead of listening to and reciting the precepts together. So if you brought water and a little leaf or something, we're going to use that to sprinkle ourselves 3 times with water and thus purifying ourselves, cleaning ourselves. And I'll do one for everyone out there. For all sentient beings, for everyone that is in need of a little compassion and who will benefit from our practice with the precepts. Now that we've done that, I was thinking about a few words that I wanted to say to you, if you indulge me. Don't take them too seriously, though. Take them with a little bit of salt. What we're here today to do with this ceremony that we have every month, and which I'm very grateful to be able to be a part of with you, is keeping a tradition that is as old as Buddhism itself. The day of reciting the monastic code was put in place, was requested by the Buddha himself. As soon as the monastic code was completed, which took some time. But the Buddha instructed the monks to get together twice a month on specific lunar days and to recite these monastic rules. And the monks also had to confess publicly their wrongdoings, their breaking of the Vinaya, and then receive the appropriate correction and recite together all of the 227 rules that the monks had, and 300 and something that were for the nuns. It's not that the nuns had more than the monks necessarily, but the monks had separate tinier rules in a different code. That's a whole different story. But it was 227 to be recited. So, the Buddha put this together, this monastic code and this celebration, because he thought it was important. In fact, there is a story about an arhat. And if you don't know what an arhat is, it's basically a fully realized, liberated practitioner. And there was the story about an arhat that complained that he shouldn't be reciting the pratimoksha, the monastic rules. He's already fully liberated. He's an arhat. Why would he do that? And the Buddha said, well, if the liberated ones, if the most enlightened ones don't keep these monastic rules, who else should? So he thought this was very, very important. And just to point out how important the discipline was, he named this teaching of his, this religion of his, the Dhamma Vinaya, the teaching and conduct. It wasn't called Buddhism per se. Buddhism is a modern term. But he named it both of these things, Dhamma Vinaya. There wasn't one without the other. There wasn't the teaching without the conduct. There wasn't Dharma without the morals or ethics. So the rules, the rules of conduct and the Dharma itself are like two sides of the same coin, complementary. And there was a reason why the Buddha instated this. Keeping the Vinaya ensured that the community was controlled, was wholesome. It ensured harmony, it ensured the purity in the community. And it also helped develop ethical relationships between the monastics and the lay people, the lay practitioners. It was, if we look at the monastic rules, we can recognize that each of them could fall under a precept that we have nowadays. It's sort of like we're taking the precepts and we're breaking them down in smaller, specific situations. And we look at, how do I apply this in this specific situation? And if we take the precepts, we realize that we can connect them all the way to the Buddha's initial teaching, the Eightfold Path, the path that leads to liberation, to the end of suffering. The very first 5 precepts: not killing, not stealing, not lying, not taking intoxicants, and not misusing sexuality. Those all fall under the 3 sila, or morality parts of the Eightfold Noble Path, right? The right speech, right action, right livelihood. So to try to separate things, I think it's nonsensical in a way. Not to understand that the tether is from our precepts all the way to the initial teaching of the Buddha, and going through all of those tedious monastic rules that they had to recite every single full moon. And I think it's important to understand that keeping those rules wasn't a matter of keeping the rules, as much as it was a matter of developing the spiritual maturity necessary to function based on the teaching. The Dharma was what provided the rules. It was not knowing how to apply the teachings that led the Buddha to instruct the monks with these rules. And so there's a similarity there, because our precepts are aiming the same thing with us, to help us develop a maturity in our practice where we don't need necessarily small little bits of instruction to know how to break and how not to break something, a precept or a rule. But we have the capacity to understand the moment, the situation, what is appropriate, and act accordingly based on these precepts. Which is why we are reminded of them continuously. And we come here every month and consider them. And then we take them into our day-to-day life, where we do our best to remember to practice with them. And I think there's 2 ways we practice with the precepts. One is like that in day-to-day life. And, we use them as a mirror and we say, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Based on the precepts, maybe I should have done something different. Or maybe it shapes the way we make a decision every now and then. I think we sort of go in and out of it. We remember, sometimes we get swept up in life and in our habits and in our delusion and all of that. But then there's also an intentional approach to the precepts. There are moments in our practice, Ango for example, where we add an element of intentionality to practicing with those precepts. We give something up. We focus on taking on something. Maybe more generosity, maybe speak kinder, maybe show more compassion, maybe be more helpful. There is an element of focus on them. And we encountered that as well in our session, for example, in the Rojas retreat and other retreats that we might do. So the point is, the precepts and the Dharma, they're one. And the precepts guide us to live this life in the best way we possibly can, in accordance with the Buddha's teaching. So we do our best, and then we are reminded of them, we atone for the things that we might have not done quite as we wanted to or hoped to, and then carry on with life. And I think I'll stop there. I'll leave that for reflection. I apologize for taking too long. All you disciples of the Buddha, join your palms in reverence and listen wholeheartedly. I would now like to articulate the preface to the great precepts of the Buddhas. If the members of the assembly will quietly listen, and they know that they have done wrong, they will atone. If they atone, then they will be at ease. If they do not repent, their wrongdoing will grow more grievous. Those who have done wrong are silent, and because of their silence, you should know that they are all purified. Worthy monks, laymen, laywomen, and all the rest, listen well. In this difficult age, when the lifetime of the Buddha sometimes seems distant, you should revere the Pratimoksha. The Pratimoksha is none other than these precepts. When you observe these precepts, it is like darkness meeting with light. It is like someone poor attaining a treasure. It is like someone who is ill being healed. It is like a prisoner being released from his chains. It is like a traveler who is able to return home. You should know that these rules are the great teacher for this assembly of people, no different from the presence of the Buddha in the world here and now. Thoughts of fear are difficult to produce. Unwholesome thoughts are difficult to give rise to. Therefore, a sutra says, do not trivialize minor misdeeds as if they're not problematic. Drops of water, although tiny, will gradually fill a large basin. A single instant of wrongdoing can lead you to fall into a hell of uninterrupted suffering. Once you lose your human body, you may not get another one for 10,000 kalpas. Just as a galloping horse, one's physical strength will not remain. The transience of human life goes beyond the mountains and seas. Even if something remains for the duration of one day, it will be quite difficult to hold on to it tomorrow. Members of the assembly should each energetically advance their own minds. Be careful not to be lazy, negligent, drowsy, or arbitrary. In the evening, you must gather your thoughts and focus them firmly on the three treasures. Don't take as being a waste of time the effort to deepen your repentance for those of later generations. Members of the assembly, each of you in your own minds should carefully rely on these precepts. Discipline yourselves in the practices that accord with the Buddha's teachings. And now together, let us recite the precepts. Do it both with your mouth and with your heart. Today, I reaffirm my commitment to seek as I can in this body and life to avoid doing harm. To seek as I can in this body and life to live in a helpful and helping way, doing good. To seek as I can in this body and life to live for the benefit of all sentient beings. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from the killing of life. To seek as I can in this body and life to live in generosity and refrain from taking that which is not given. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from misusing sexuality and all desire. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from false and malicious speech. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from intoxication in its many forms. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from unconstructively criticizing the errors and faults of others. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from praising oneself and judging others. to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from stinginess in bestowing the Buddhist teachings and all precious things, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from all anger, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from disparaging the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. With the refuge verses, if you can, if you're able, you can do a prostration with every small bell at the end of the each recitation. Otherwise, a deep bow is perfectly fine as long as it's wholehearted. Give me 1 second, Gote.
Yes.
This is a mess. Okay.
I take refuge in Buddha. May all living beings embody the great way and give rise to the highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May all living beings enter deeply into the sutras, that ocean of wisdom. I take refuge in Sangha. May all living beings support harmony in the community, free from all hindrances. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable.
Abiding in this ephemeral world, may we exist in muddy water with purity like a lotus. Nothing escapes the boundless mind. Thus we bow to Buddha. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe. Reality existing right here now. In reaffirming our commitments to the precepts, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, Honored One, the historical Buddha and teacher, to the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to all arhats and bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, and their relations throughout the Dharma world. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together.
All Buddhas throughout space and time. all bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, maha prajna paramita.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure and an honor to do this again. Let me come close to you. I can't see anything. You're all tiny little squares. Uh, I appreciate very much your presence here today. Doing this means a lot for many sanghas, for all sanghas. I think it's one of those few things in Buddhism that are completely like universally celebrated throughout the Buddhist world. So I'm grateful that you made time to be here today and to do this and to listen to my rambling. If anything that I said misleads anyone, I apologize for it profusely. I had much more to say, but it's very difficult to judge what's appropriate or not because I'm no teacher, so I don't want to overstep my bounds. But I appreciate you listening, and I hope there's something to reflect there. And I hope to see you next month for this again. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And do good things.
Bye, everyone.